Now, in Trump's defense, he did explain today why we're going after Canada.
I mean, I look at some of the deals made, I say, who the hell made these deals that are so bad?
So bad. The trade deals with Canada, they're so bad. He's just looking and saying, who made these? Ladies and gentlemen, don't get ahead of me. Ladies and gentlemen, for your dining and dancing pleasure, come with me into the Wayback Machine to 2018. I give you the culprit of the terrible deal with Canada.
This morning, President Trump signed a new trade deal to replace NAFTA with the leaders of Mexico and Canada.
The best trade deal they say ever made.
No! A deal done by Trump's greatest nemesis, Trump.
All right, so here's the thing. Tariffs are usually boring, like snooze button boring. But somehow Trump made them feel like a reality TV show. He turned trade policy into drama, like a pageantry, a whole performance. And Canada got dragged into it. Remember when Trump slapped a 25% tariffs on Canadian imports? Said it was about national security, immigration, fentanyl, all that. He even threw out a wild claim that Canada should become the 51st state. It was a lot. But now, silence. Dude just stopped talking about Canada. He went like cold turkey. No more tweets, no more rants, just poof, gone. So, you'll be asking, what happened? Let's back off a bit. If you have been watching how Trump battles through all his felony charges, the criminal cases brought on him by the Democratic-led Justice Department, and still came out on top by winning the presidency, it's hard not to call the guy a genius. I know. I mean, think about it. Despite billions spent by the media, the government to bring him down, he pulled off the most amazing victory. It's not far-fetched to think that some of his controversial behavior might actually be part of a calculated 3D chess strategy that the rest of us don't fully grasp. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Trump's victory didn't just shake up the US. It's had a ripple effect up north, too, in Canada. In what became a dramatic political twist, the Liberal Party in Canada is suddenly gaining ahead of the April 28th election. This comes after a long stretch where every poll had that the Conservative was set to win. So here's a political breakdown. The Liberal Party currently formed their government with the Conservative as the official opposition. A guy named Pierre Poilievre was the clear favorite to win after former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau stepped down 2 months ago. But Trump's aggressive stance he's taken towards Canada has shifted the playing field. It's honestly caught a lot of people off guard. Those of us who understand how closely tied Canada is to the US were scratching our heads trying to understand Trump's strategy. Why attack Canada? He called it the 51st state and said Canada should pay America for protection. He claimed fentanyl was pouring in from the north and slapped Canada with a tariffs on Canadian goods. Canada actually was one of the first countries he targeted when he started this whole tariff drama. Even after Justin Trudeau visited Trump at Mar-a-Lago, Canada ramped up patrols along the border. Trump continues to publicly humiliate him and insult Canada. But Canadians are proud people. They don't want to be annexed, and they don't want to be told what to do by the US. By 2024, Justin Trudeau's popularity has always been sleeping due to the economic concern and controversial immigration policy. The Liberal lost key elections in places like Toronto, St. Paul, LaSalle, Emard, Verdun. He was facing a growing dissent within his own party. Then, fast forward back to 2025, Justin Trudeau in January 6th announced that he would resign as the party leader, and once a successor was chosen. And then go back in March 2025, Trump imposed a 25% tariff on most Canadian imports, slamming the national security concern tied to immigration and drug trafficking. Even though data shows only a small portion of fentanyl comes from Canada. He doubled down, calling for Canada to become the 51st US state, arguing that full integration would benefit both countries. He claimed that Canada has been taking advantage of the US, and previous trade agreements were written by morons. It's a strange contradiction when you think about it. During his first term, Trump tore into NAFTA, calling it one of the worst trade deals ever. He renegotiated it and replaced it with USMCA in 2020, a deal he celebrated as a huge win. But now, in 2020, he's criticizing the very agreement he championed, saying that whoever signed the previous agreement, which was him, is a moron. If it was such a triumph then, why undo it now, and why call it a moron agreement? So the consequences has been serious. On April 2nd, which Trump called the Independent Day, Trump announced a baseline tariff on all imported goods with higher rates for 57 trading partners, including Canada. By April 3rd, even USMCA compliant vehicles were hit with a 25% tariff, disrupting the North American auto industry. Canada hit back with a retaliatory tariff, and Canadian retailers started labeling US products with a T to indicate tariff-related price hike. Over 75% of Canadians have shifted toward buying domestic product. The Bank of Canada warned that this trade tension could trigger a recession with long-range consequences for the economy and the standard of living. But here's the kicker. Trump's aggressive move may have inadvertently boosted Liberal support in Canada. His attack united Canadians around national pride and sovereignty. In March 9th, 2025, Justin Trudeau picked his successor named Mark Carney, a banker turned politician. Mark Carney, relatively an unknown member of Justin Trudeau's cabinet, is now the most popular politician in Canada because he's not taking it on the chin like the so-called weak Justin Trudeau. Mark is going head-to-head with Trump by pitching an anti-US stance, promising a fresh, technocratic approach focusing on fiscal responsibility and increased defense spending. and reducing economic dependence on the US. He's positioning himself as the leader who could stand up to Trump, and that message has resonated. The liberal, once trailing the conservative by 20%, has now closed the gap, and the race is suddenly neck and neck. So, with all this evidence that I just provided and all this statement, it's pretty much easy to answer the question on why Trump went quiet. And it's probably because it backfired. You know, Trump consumes a lot of media, especially the right-wing Jewish-run outlets like the Daily Wire. And I say that because his focus always seemed to be on owning the libs and pleasing Benjamin Netanyahu at every turn, and echoing a lot of the same narrative you hear from places like Daily Wire. That outlet in particular has an obsession with Canada. They constantly paint the country in a negative light, zeroing in on its government policy and cultural shifts. He started parroting a lot of their talking points and trying to implement similar policies. Trump is known as a master in reading the crowd and reading the people. But because of the influence of right-wing media like the Daily Wire, so far, all he's done is stir up Canadian politics and hand the liberal a boost and potentially sabotage what could have been a conservative win. Now it's looking more like a liberal comeback, and all because Trump thought picking a fight with Canada would be some kind of power move. And now, silence. So yeah, maybe Trump's not playing 3D chess. Maybe he's just throwing stuff at the wall and see what sticks. And when it doesn't, he just backs off quietly, hoping that nobody noticed. But we noticed.